You wake up tasting red metallic dust in a room that smells like ozone, staring at hands that should be covered in scars, but are instead as smooth as a newborn's. Your birth certificate says you are 30 years old, but your subconscious remembers 2 decades of a life you never lived on this planet. You are lying in a comfortable bed in a quiet, suburban home, yet you are listening for the heavy thrum of a ventilation system that hasn't existed for you in 20 years. For a moment, your muscles tensed to lift a heavy hydraulic pressurized tool, but your grip finds only soft linen sheets. This is the silent anomaly haunting thousands of individuals who claim to have returned from a place that officially remains a desolate, uninhabited wasteland. In the quiet corners of psychological research and anomalous studies, a persistent narrative has emerged. It suggests that while the world watches rovers crawl slowly across the red dust of a distant neighbor, a far more advanced shadow has already cast its mark there. This isn't about little green men or ancient ruins, but about a human debt paid in years that were supposedly erased from the ledger of history. It is a concept known as the 20 and back cycle, a hypothetical program where soldiers and technicians are recruited for a 20-year tour of duty in the deep reaches of the solar system, only to be returned to the exact moment they left, their bodies restored to their original age, and their minds scrubbed clean of the experience. The process begins with a choice that many don't even remember making.
We need to know
It
who
is
authorized this
described
flight.
as a midnight
I
contract,
acted alone, sir.
signed in a room with no windows,
That's not...
under the gaze of men who do not wear uniforms with recognizable flags. The recruits are told they are the vanguard, the protectors of a frontier that the public isn't ready to acknowledge. They are promised a life of purpose, a chance to see the stars, and the ultimate reward of coming back home as if they never left. But the transition from a quiet Earth life to the harsh reality of a subterranean lunar or Martian base is a shock that no amount of training can fully prepare a human for. The volunteers are not just leaving their homes, they are stepping out of time itself. The environment of these alleged bases is never described as a sci-fi utopia. Instead, it is portrayed as a grueling industrial existence. The air is recycled until it tastes of old copper and stale sweat. The gravity is artificial, hummed into existence by massive generators that vibrate through the soles of your boots, a constant, low-frequency reminder that you are a guest in a hostile void. Those who claim to have served describe a landscape of endless tunnels, pressurized domes, and a horizon that is always a shade of bruised crimson. They speak of a life defined by maintenance, surveillance, and a lingering sense of isolation that stretches across 2 decades of silent service. Every day is a battle against the encroachment of the vacuum. Every breath, a calculated expense of a life support system that never stops clicking. Yet, the most chilling aspect of this hypothesis isn't the deployment itself, but the return. If the technology exists to transport a human across the void, the theory suggests the technology also exists to manipulate the very fabric of biological age. When the 20-year contract is up, the individual undergoes a process of age regression. The cells are allegedly reset, the clock is wound back, and the soldier is placed back into their life at the very second they disappeared. To the rest of the world, they simply blinked. To the individual, 20 years of memories are supposed to be compressed into a black box and buried in the deepest cellar of the mind. They are given their youth back, but the price is the loss of their own history. But the human brain is not a hard drive that can be easily wiped. It is a complex web of associations, and sometimes the data leaks. This is what researchers call the bleed-through. It manifests in individuals who have never picked up a musical instrument, but can suddenly play complex compositions with muscle memory they shouldn't possess. It appears in children who speak with the tactical precision of a seasoned veteran, or in adults who suffer from intense post-traumatic stress for events that never happened in their documented history.
Look,
They are haunted
by
by the ghosts of a 20-year career that has been
perfect.
legally
Grab two
and
while we're here.
biologically deleted. They dream of red skies and the sound of pressurized doors hissing shut, waking up in tears for friends they cannot name. Consider the person sitting across from you in a coffee shop. They might be 25 years old, but behind their eyes, there is a weariness that suggests they have seen the rise and fall of distant stars. They might have a scar that shouldn't be there, a mark that matches the trauma of a high-pressure hull breach. Yet, their medical records show a life of perfect health. These are the fragments of the program that refuse to stay hidden. The subconscious mind holds on to the weight of the red dust, the silence of the vacuum, and the camaraderie of a unit that officially never existed. They look at their parents and feel a strange, distant love for people they feel they haven't seen in 2 decades, even though they were only gone for the duration of a heartbeat. The physics of such a feat, reversing the aging process and folding time to return a person to their point of origin, remains in the realm of high speculation. However, proponents of this theory point to the staggering budget discrepancies in global defense spending and the rapid, unexplained leaps in aerospace technology. They suggest that while the public is given the slow, incremental progress of chemical rockets, a breakaway civilization has been refining the art of folding space and manipulating the human biofield for over half a century. They argue that the true frontiers are being explored with money that doesn't exist on any public balance sheet, by people who are technically not there. In this hidden world, time is a commodity that can be traded. A 20-year service is the price of admission to a level of reality that most people will only see in fever dreams. The soldiers of this program are the invisible guardians of a secret history. They are the builders of cities we aren't allowed to see, and the veterans of conflicts we aren't allowed to know. When they return, they are expected to blend back into the mundane rhythm of Earth life, to work 9-to-5 jobs, to pay taxes, and to age naturally for a second time. They are asked to be normal when their entire being is screaming that they have walked on a world where the sun is a different size and the stars do not twinkle. The psychological toll of this double life is immense. Imagine the dissonance of having the soul of a 60-year-old warrior trapped inside the body of a 20-year-old college student. The memories of the program often return in fragments, flashes of a red sky, the rhythmic thud of a recirculating pump, or the face of a commander who hasn't been born yet. These survivors often feel like foreigners in their own homes. They look at the mundane gadgets of the 21st century and find them primitive. Yet they cannot explain why. They struggle with an inexplicable sense of homesickness for a place that is millions of miles away and officially dead. There are also physical clues that defy conventional explanation. Some returnees report that their bone density is significantly different from what is expected for their age, showing signs of prolonged exposure to low-gravity environments. Others find that their internal organs show wear and tear consistent with a much older person, despite their youthful appearance.
Look at this reading.
Medical professionals are often baffled by these anomalies,
But the scans are
attributing
clear.
them to
What are we
rare
missing
genetic
here?
quirks or unknown environmental factors. But to those who believe in the 20 and Back program, these are the physical receipts of a journey across the stars. These are the marks left by a life lived in the shadows of the solar system. The secrecy surrounding these operations is maintained not just through technology, but through a deep-seated societal denial. The sheer scale of such a program would require a level of coordination and funding that seems impossible. Yet, history is full of projects that remained hidden in plain sight for decades. The compartmentalization of information ensures that even those working on the project only see a tiny fraction of the whole. A technician might spend 20 years maintaining a single life support system on a moon base without ever knowing the true coordinates of the facility or the name of the corporation that signed their paycheck. As we look toward the future and our official plans to colonize the moon and Mars, we must ask if we are truly pioneers, or if we are simply following the footprints of those who have already been there and were forced to forget. The stories of these returnees suggest that the space race didn't end in the 60s. It just went underground. It moved into the shadows, into the classified budgets, and into the minds of those who now walk among us with 2 lives worth of memories. We are looking at the Red Planet as a new frontier, while some among us look at it as a former workplace they can never discuss. The struggle for these individuals is one of identity. Who are you when your most formative years have been erased by a corporation or a government entity? How do you reconcile the mundane reality of Earth with the high-stakes survival of the frontier? Many turn to support groups, sharing their dreams and fantasies with others who have the same haunting recollections. They find comfort in the shared details, the specific blue of a plasma torch, the way the silence of the vacuum presses against your ears, the specific smell of the air scrubbers. They are searching for validation in a world that tells them they are hallucinating. This phenomenon forces us to reconsider our understanding of time and memory. If the 20 and Back program is a reality, then the human experience is far more plastic than we ever dared to imagine. Our past might not be as fixed as we think, and our future might have already happened in a different timeline, overseen by those who hold the keys to the age regression chambers. We are left to wonder how many of our neighbors, our friends, or even our leaders are living their second youth, having already spent a lifetime in the cold dark. The person who seems too wise for their age might just be carrying the wisdom of a 20-year tour of duty. The implications for the future of our species are profound. If we have already established a presence beyond our planet, why the charade? Perhaps the isolation is necessary to maintain a certain societal order on Earth. Or perhaps the environment out there is so challenging that only those who have been reprocessed can truly handle it. Whatever the reason, the wall of silence remains thick, guarded by the very people who were once part of the machine. The truth is buried under layers of classified documents and biological resets, leaving only the echoes in the subconscious to tell the tale.
They told us Mars
As the
was
years
dead,
pass,
silent,
more and more people are coming forward,
otherwise.
risking their reputations to
coming.
speak about the echoes in their minds. They don't ask for fame, they ask for recognition of the years they gave away. They want to know that the sacrifices they made in the red dust were real, even if they can't prove it with a photograph or a medal. They are the veterans of a war that has no history books, the explorers of a world that doesn't exist on our maps. They are the living evidence of a secret that is literally written into their DNA. The next time you see someone staring intently at the night sky, look closer. Are they looking at the stars with wonder, or with a sense of homesickness? Are they searching for a familiar constellation, or for the glint of a base where they spent 20 years of their life? The truth may be buried deep within the subconscious of the person standing right next to you, locked away by a technology that can reset the body, but cannot fully silence the soul. They are the ones who remember the hum of the ship, the taste of the recycled air, and the sight of the Earth rising over a jagged, gray horizon. In the end, the 20 and Back program remains one of the most provocative mysteries of the modern age. It challenges our perception of linear time and the permanence of our memories. It suggests that the horizon is much closer than we think, and that some of us have already crossed it, returned, and are now waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. Whether it is a collective delusion or a hidden reality, the stories persist, a haunting reminder that there are still shadows in the light of our scientific progress. We are moving toward a future that some have already lived. We live in a world of secrets, but the greatest secret of all might be the one we carry inside us, hidden behind a veil of artificial amnesia. The red planet watches us from the dark, a silent witness to a history that is being written in the blank spaces of our lives. And as the sun sets, casting a familiar orange glow over our world, some of us can't help but feel that we've seen that light before, from a different angle, on a different world, in a life we were told never happened. The clock is always ticking, but for some, it has already ticked twice. They are the ones who came back, the ones who remember the silence, and the ones who know that the journey is never truly over. The red dust never washes off completely. It stays in the marrow, in the dreams, and in the quiet moments when the erased years start to scream. Be careful of the memories that aren't yours. They might be the only real thing you have left. In a world of manufactured timelines, the only truth is the one your subconscious refuses to forget. Look at your hands. Are they really as young as you think they are? Or is there a 20-year ghost waiting for you to remember the stars?